Premiership Power Rankings, folks, for round number 14. It's been a while since we've done a Premiership Power Rankings, but it's time to get back into it. There's been some bloody tight games in terms of like the way the table is looking. There's a lot of teams with like a 5-6 win-loss record or 6-5. There's obviously one team who's clearly at the top, but yeah, we'll go through them. You guys can let us know your thoughts and how you think things are looking for the remainder of the season. The Falcons come in 11th, which is maybe a bit tough because they did beat Sale. Was it like a week ago? But they lost to Bath. So, yeah, I mean, they're 10th in the actual log. They're 11th in the power rankings. I still feel like on their day, Newcastle can certainly cause problems to teams, but it is still a negative record this season. So, familiar spot for them. London Irish, maybe a little bit tough again. I mean, they had an extraordinary result again a couple of weeks ago when they beat Saracens, but they followed up with a narrow loss to Gloucester. Their record of 3-8 is also not particularly flash, but it's another one where you don't see them as that far off the pace. Exeter is kind of a man how the mighty have fallen. I know they got a bunch of guys out, but that loss to Saracens 35-3, I watched that game and it was painful viewing, man. Exeter were just not really very competitive in that game. I mean, I know Saracens are really looking the business this year, but goodness me, 5-6, it's a negative record. They scraped past Bath the week before, get hammered away at Saracens, so a bit concerning. And then Bristol, who are the actual team who's at the bottom of the log. Another team whose record of a couple of years ago is looking like a bit of a dream at the moment. But Bristol, 3 wins, 6 losses and a draw. They're coming off a bye, and prior to that they had a win over Quins. So their recent record, if you're looking at the last 2 games, is undefeated. So that kind of mucks up the power rankings a wee bit. They probably should be a bit lower. But anyway, they are still in the bottom row. One team who's not in the bottom row, that's why I got their kit on, is Bath. Oh my goodness, I'm used to having Bath in the bottom row, but man, Ollie Lawrence is looking a good signing, isn't he? That guy is a bloody good player. What can I say? They beat Newcastle. They lost to Exeter the week before in a close one, but still a negative record, 4-7, which to be fair is the same record the Falcons have got. So, I mean, there's not that much between a fair few of these teams, but there you go. They're coming off a win, so Bath jump up a little bit higher. Quins, who are 3rd on the log, and I remember the last time I put Quins down on the power rankings last season, when they were high on the table, they came back and had a really good run of games, so they could certainly use that now. They have lost their last couple. They lost to Northampton, they got hammered, and then they lost to Bristol the week before, so 6-5 is still a positive record, but like I said, there's a lot of teams in or around that kind of area in terms of how their seasons have been going. Leicester, obviously, with the changes in management, are going to have some teething issues, some injury issues. Pollard played, looked a bit sluggish. Burns, I only saw the highlights of that game, but was trying to make a tackle when he could hardly walk. So, not easy times. 5 wins, 5 losses, and a draw, so they're pretty much even. And a few mixed results, but their most recent one, a 40-5 loss against Sale, a particularly bad one. Gloucester remain in the second row, just barely. 6-5 record for them. Last minute kick from Carreras. I don't know if I've ever seen Carreras kick a goal before, but yeah, he kicked it, didn't he? What a pressure kick to win the game. So they beat London Irish 8-6. Positive record. They are 4th on the actual table. And they come in 4th on the power rankings. Top 3. Somehow Northampton has managed to scrape into the top 3. They're another one of these teams with that kind of 5-6, 6-5. Like Northampton's 5-6, Gloucester's 6-5, Quins are 6-5, and then Leicester's 5-5 with a draw. Plus Exeter's 5-6. There's a lot of teams marginal, man, very marginal. But they've won 2 of their last 3, including that big win over Quins. So recent record is at least relatively successful. And I got to admit, when the 2 teams, Worcester and Wasps, dropped out, it mucked up the whole fixtures list, right? I mean, obviously more important things is getting those clubs sorted if possible. But for power rankings purposes, there was a lot of buys, a lot of rounds with there only 4 games on, so probably doesn't help the power rankings either, to be honest. But because we're weighting the more recent games higher than the old games. So anyway, Northampton, they won 2 of the last 3, like I mentioned, and 5th on the log, 3rd in the power rankings. But there's 2 teams clearly at the top, and it's Sale in 2nd, who, despite a blip against Newcastle the other week, have a good recent record in their big win over Leicester. Certainly helps them. They are 8-3, which is genuinely a couple of games to the good compared to most of the teams. But man, Saracens are still looking the team to beat, and Owen Farrell has just been bossing the show. Absolutely. I mean, they, as I said, lost that game to London Irish, but 35-3 against Exeter was just utterly dominant. So there you go, folks. Premiership power rankings for round 14. We've had some European games in the mix in the meantime. I've not taken those into account here. We're just looking at Premiership results. You guys let us know your thoughts. I do think there's kind of a clear bottom, a clear top 2, and then Northampton to Quins. You could probably roll the dice and chuck them out any way you want, and maybe even you could include Exeter, but I'm being a bit down on Exeter after that Saracens game. But yeah, there doesn't seem to be that much between them, which is a healthy thing for the league. If some teams could hand Saracens a couple more losses, that might make things look a little bit healthier as well. But anyway, you guys let us know your thoughts, and yeah, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.